Our sponsors for this episode are Gambino's Pizza in Newton. Gambino's Pizza in Newton is located at 1029 Washington Road in Cedar Village. They are open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you love pizza as much as I do, you know that you always have time and room for pizza. Not only can you dine in or carry out, but they have a huge menu of items to pick from, including wings, pizzas, salad bar, and not only that, but they have the only pizza buffet in Newton. If you're looking for a family-friendly environment or just need to stop in for a quick lunch over the noon hour, Gambino's has got you covered. Visit Gambino's Pizza in Newton at 1029 Washington Road in Cedar Village, or give them a call at 316-866-1778. That's 316-866-1778 to order out or ask questions. You can even order online. Look them up on Facebook, give them a like, follow, and a share. Gambino's Pizza in Newton. Carlos's Kitchen and Cater. Carlos's Kitchen and Cater, located at 114 South Kansas Avenue in Newton, is one of Newton's best kept secrets. Or maybe you know about them and have already stopped in or carried out some of the most delicious Mexican food in our region. If you're just hearing about them, you need to give them a try. If you're a repeat customer, you'll already know why. Give Carlos's Kitchen and Cater a call at 316-804-0158. That's 316-804-0158. Or you can stop into 114, that's 114 South Kansas Avenue. Make sure to look them up on Facebook, give them a like, follow, and share. And don't forget, folks, tell your friends. Carlos's Kitchen and Cater. The Newton Kansan is Newton's longest-running local newspaper covering all the stories, people, places, and things happening in our community. Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan, works diligently to ensure integrity, accuracy, and unbiased news is delivered to your doorstep 3 times a week for an unbeatable price. You can also sign up for online-only access for around $7 a month. That's 12 online papers a month for only $7. If you've not subscribed, it's time you do. Visit them in their office at 517 North Main Street. That's 517 North Main Street in Newton. Online at thekansan.com. That's thekansan.com. Or give them a call at 316-283-1500. That's 316-283-1500. Support local journalism, support the Kansan. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this HCTalk podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and my co-partner in crime is editor of the Kansan paper and confirmed Mennonite Mafia member, Chad Fry.
I'd like to know where that came. Well,
Chad
that
Fry,
came from
the Kansan
Andy.
guy. Yes, he is a confirmed. We are still looking into it and investigating as to whether he is a Don, one of the Dons.
Well, I can tell you point blank, I'm not making any money at it.
Well, you don't. It all goes back to the familia.
So
It all goes back to the familia.
Whatever.
It does. Absolutely.
Whatever.
Okay, Chad. So we got a list of stuff. We're going to go national this week, folks. So we're going to burn through some stuff that's going on locally that Chad might have for the Kansan. I'll try not to ask a whole lot of questions in reference to stuff like that so we don't get stuck on it, because if you're wanting to know what we're going to talk about on the program, here's a few things. Chiefs Kingdom moves to Kansas. Fraud in Minnesota. Epstein Files have been released. Who's on the list? Could possibly Epstein have been an intelligent agent from another country? And Turning Point USA endorses J.D. Vance for president. Is the Republican Party in any better position as the Democrat Party when it comes to candidates and leadership? Chad, what's in the Kansan? What has been in the Kansan, or maybe what will be in the Kansan?
One of the things I'm kind of excited about, I put it together Monday and Tuesday. It's gonna publish Thursday. Is I guess now you can say we've started a new tradition because we've done this the last 2 years. And it is that first paper of the new year, right, according to the calendar. Rather than do what everybody does, which is try and write a retrospective on the previous year, we do that on the last paper.
That's that best 10
of
out
that
10.
previous year. That's the 10 out of 10.
Which I thought was really cool.
Top 10.
I liked reading about that. I'm glad we covered that in the program. And I did notice that you did have a quote unquote newsmaker of the year, a top one.
We
was
did.
Wyatt Hendrickson.
We did. We had Wyatt Hendrickson as newsmaker of the year. It was a very difficult decision. And straight up, newsmaker of the year, it's me. I'm the one who makes that decision. And I think I wrote at the beginning that it's extremely rare that a singular event would propel someone to newsmaker of the year. And honestly, it wasn't a singular event with Wyatt Hendrickson. There was a singular event that called attention to him.
Yeah.
But then he followed it up with some other stuff, like winning a spot on the U.S. national team and traveling with the U.S. national team, and then winning the first ever RAF heavyweight title. And if you don't know, RAF is, again, another attempt. There's been several to have a professional league for traditional wrestling, not sports entertainment, real wrestling. Okay, and do those guys hit each other in the ring for WWE? Yeah, but at the end of the day, everybody knows it's scripted. The winners and losers are scripted, all that stuff.
Characters, it's entertainment.
Yeah,
it's entertainment.
we all know it. So the RAF is another shot at creating a professional league for what to now has been amateur wrestling. RAF is freestyle, so if you're expecting to see the kind of thing you'll see at the Tournament of Champions, which is a week and a half away, I just signed up to volunteer in the concession stand for that. That's not what this is. It's freestyle. It's in my opinion, the most fun of the Olympic styles, of which there are two. So anyway, that was the last paper of the year. The first paper of the year, which will be on Thursday, we did a looking forward to 2026. Couple of things to take a look at and pay attention to in the coming year. And so I'm really excited about that. I don't think most of this stuff probably isn't going to be a surprise to a lot of people. But, we've got a bond issue that's coming up in 2026. The election's going to be in March. And it might sound hyperbolic to say that the future of Newton schools is going to be determined on the 20s.
No doubt in my mind.
In March. But that really is what's happening.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind. For the stuff that they're asking to improve, no doubt in my mind that this is the bare bones of what they could be asking for, in my opinion, maybe even what they should be asking for. And if I'm going to say my opinion again, I've been told that it sounds like I'm a proponent for the bond. I don't think that anybody needs to question whether I am or not. I've done my research. I understand in the past that I have been against bonds and I've been for bonds. I find out, well, what do they want to do? If it's what needs to happen, I mean, whether I want the end result, which is for my taxes to go up, I mean, how much are they going up? And then what are they fixing?
During the Christmas break, I had to have a very hard conversation with a really good friend. They had transferred their child out of the Newton district right before his freshman year of high school. They transferred him to a different district. And I heard that famous line, "My kid doesn't even go here. Why should I pay?"
But your kid's going someplace else where people's taxes are paying for your
exactly.
kid's experience.
Yes, and in this case, that is true. In this case, they transferred them to a different public school. Mm-hmm. And it's not about your kid. It's not really even about my kid. It's about the entire community's kids. And oh, by the way, we invested in your kid all the way from preschool through 8th grade. All of us, we invested in your kid. So do not give me the "my kid doesn't go here" or "my kid doesn't have I don't have kids in this school." I don't want to hear it. It's a red herring. It's a piss poor argument. It's
to them,
it's
Chad.
nonsensical.
Not to them. Not to them.
No, because everybody has been investing in your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Whether
it goes
it's
back
here or not.
Goes back to what we talked about in the past. In my opinion on it, I believe I'm in a good, solid position to say, when it comes to services provided through a government entity, whether that be your school district, whether that be your city, okay, we have to have roads. We have to have police. We have to have fire and ambulance. We have to have these services, water, sewer, trash. We've got to have these services.
We do.
And they've got to be paid for by everybody. And so when we sit here and individualistically say, well, my house hasn't caught in fire since it was built. It hasn't caught in fire since I moved in there. So I've never needed the fire department. Why do I have to pay for the fire department? Why do I have to pay for the police department? I've never had a situation.
When I vermipost, there is almost no waste coming out of my house going into the trash cans between compost and vermiposting. I mean, seriously, I can get rid of all my junk mail using earthworms.
Shred it and put it in there.
Yes. And, it's like, so should I, why am I paying for a trash service? Well, guess what? There are a few things that I can't get rid of. So I need a trash service. And my neighbor needs one too.
Yeah. Well, we should just go back to the days where we all put 55-gallon drums out in the back of our yard and burn our trash as we need it. And moving on, what else do you have, Chad?
Burn the glass, I dare you. Completion of Hillside and Spencer is something to look forward to this next year. That's a program. That's a project that is big and huge and massive and got hammered by a summer of rain. And so it'll be nice when that is done, right?
A little drier, maybe.
And then I dipped into our top 10 a little bit on this. Shield AI. They're going to start moving hopefully within the month. So getting them up and running is something to watch and something that's going to be really super cool. I mean, super freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the future.
And it's quite honestly, it's good paying for Newton, especially. It's going to be good paying jobs. It's going to be really good pay.
Tech jobs.
So
really?
Yeah. If they were hiring PR, I'd be applying. So yeah.
Do they need a digital media manager?
I don't know. Maybe
Chad and I might
we need to set a meeting and go check them out.
It'd be great. You'd be on the front line of some revolutionary technological advancements. And when you think about what they're proposing to do, it's only going to grow. It goes back to this. I don't know why we're watching this happen, and maybe it's just the way, we'll call it the nature of the beast, okay? But it appears to me that there is a demographic of people that wish we could go back instead of continuing to move forward. What else you got, Chad?
Fully opening the Pine Street building. It's coming. It's gonna be 26 when that happens, and that represents what 2-3 years of work and investment by our county.
Did we make a misstep last week when we talked about Pine Street being open and operational?
It is open. It is open, and there are departments that are operating out of it. The health department never stopped.
Yeah.
Right? They're still up there. They're on the second floor doing their thing. But they have not moved anything into the third floor.
Okay.
And that's what's going to start happening here in January. And
so we were quasi right. We weren't wrong necessarily. Yeah.
No.
I just, in my mind's eye, I think when I was talking about it, I had come to the understanding or the belief that it was done.
I think construction's pretty much done. There was some talk about redoing an entryway door for the Department on Aging, which is one of those departments that has not moved over there yet.
Okay.
The research and extension has not moved over there yet. So I know research and extension is moving in January. I haven't checked in with the DOA to find. There you go, to find out when they're moving. But it's going to happen in 2026.
Very cool.
So yeah.
Very cool.
And then the last thing on my list of things, I did a list of 5 things. And I probably could have done more. I know I could have done more, but there comes a time, right? So the 5th thing is that the expansion at Youthville. Construction has started. They've done a lot of demolition over there, and they're going to start. They should be starting footings here pretty soon, if they haven't already. It's kind of cold, so they might hold off a little bit. But that's going to be a housing development that's more than a housing development.
Some transitional living.
Yes, and it doesn't really matter where you stand on this one, because there are people who are not in favor of this. Okay? Quite honestly, I don't know if I am or not. I'm just not there. I haven't said, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, and I haven't said, no, this is the worst thing ever. Guys like me, the jury's out, and the jury will come in after it starts to operate.
Yeah, I would agree with that. On it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to come to any kind of a conclusion right now, because there is a risk reward, right? Mm-hmm. The fact I think it's good in theory. I like what they're wanting to do, the purpose they're trying to serve, the people they're trying to serve. But we'll see, because that also comes with some risks.
The kind of I've made reference to this in some of my reporting over the course of the last year. But one of the dirty secrets is just how much time law enforcement spends at Ember Hope now. And a lot of it is just really petty stuff. Not a big deal. Some of it is kind of a big deal. A resident decides they don't like what they're being told by a worker and they deck them. That's battery. If there's something in their hand, that's aggravated battery, which is a felony. They steal a cell phone because they never see anybody using it. That's theft. If they were violent when they did it, it becomes aggravated theft and a felony. And stuff just can spiral very quickly. And that's true of anybody. Yeah. That stuff can spiral out of control very, very quickly.
I got something on optics, Chad.
That is the dirty little secret of Ember Hope. Is that our chief of police used this term in an open meeting, so I will use it. They can be a resource vampire. And so now we're going to add a bunch of housing to that. If it becomes more of a resource vampire, then guys like me are going to be like, this wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
This wasn't worth it. Sorry.
And theoretically, maybe with the changing of it and trying to focus on the family, we might see.
Well, that's the hope.
Some change there.
Different results. Doing things differently to get different results.
And I'm probably not going to make any friends at the city of Newton here, okay? Because I'm a pro Newton guy, right? I want people to choose Newton. I want the future of Newton to be bright. I've been focusing on this for years and years and years. I'm basically a Harvey County native at this point. I'm a transplant, so I guess I should say I'm a Harvey County transplant of years and years. I stayed here, the whole thing. So just disclaimer here. It's very interesting when you go and look at information on Newton, just Newton in general. When you look at what does Newton proper want to project to the rest of the world that they are,
and what our reputation is,
and then what we really are, right? So it's like you go, and I've said this before. Like I said, I'm probably not making any friends at the city of Newton here, but you search, is Newton a good place to live? Google it. Is Newton a good place to retire? Is Newton a good place to raise your family? Does Newton have good schools? Okay. And what's going to happen is the first thing that's going to populate at the top is going to be from the city of Newton. And the city of Newton will tell you that Newton is a great place to retire. Newton is a great place to raise your family. Newton is a great place. It's safe. It's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And while we're talking about this, we say safe, okay, safe. But then you scroll down a little bit and you do a little bit of research and you find out that compared to the national average and compared to the state average, some could argue that Newton is not the safest place to live.
Are we talking about crime rates here?
Yes. So
okay.
I find it interesting.
So I saw a social media war over crime rates in Newton, and
Okay.
and I have something that I really want to say to people. Stop, take a breath, and would you take a look at how crime rates are created? To argue that Newton is not a safe place to live and that the police don't know what to do about it because the crime rates are high is so bass-ackwards, it's not even funny.
And I don't disagree. I don't think our law enforcement is...
our crime rates everywhere, they are determined by the number of arrests per 1,000 or 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. So if you have a high crime rate, that means you got lots of people getting arrested.
Yes.
That means the cops are doing their freaking job.
I don't disagree at all.
Okay.
I don't disagree one bit.
And if you're trying to evaluate, is this community a safe place to live? And then you're going to look at the crime rate and you're like, oh no, the cops are doing their jobs.
Yeah, and then
people.
not only that, but when you think about like take in full disclosure, right? You take Newton, right? It's not a Wichita. Right, it's not a Kansas City, it's not a Topeka, it's not a Lawrence, okay?
Right,
and so, but I think what drives that, in why I went the way I did when it comes to having the discussion about crime and the things that Newtonians notoriously deal with, I wonder how much of that is driven, honestly, by facilities. And I'm not making any friends here, right? But by Amber Hope, I wonder. Like when we talk about facilities that are trying to meet the needs of individuals who might be having some kind of a addiction problem and needing services, or some kind of a mental health ailment, they're needing services. So since we're a community that provides a lot of services, then I'm not 100% sure that statistic is not inflated due to certain
we're attracting people
and demographics.
The people we're attracting.
Yes. So I'm trying to be very politically correct in saying this because everybody wants to hop on. Oh, he says dude is in my place. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I was talking about more of the messaging.
And you can
Amber
look
Hope situation.
You can look anywhere and everywhere. Okay. Let's look here. Routinely, the Harvey County Juvenile Intake Office sees more kids in a week than the sister office in McPherson will see in a month. Routinely, we will see more kids in a month than the sister office will see in a year. The question is, what does that say?
Well, who's digging into this, right? Because we can surmise.
I'm the only one that's kind of been digging into it.
Yeah. So is there some truth to my...
And here's so the guy that's taking a look at this is what it says. Oh, and by the way, more than 90% of those juveniles dealt with by juvenile intake here come from the city of Newton. Okay? So, does Newton have a problem? I don't think so.
Well, and then,
I'm saying this because I know there's people that are going to look at me and go, "What the heck? He doesn't think we have a problem if that's what's going on?" No, I don't think we have a problem. I think McPherson has a problem.
Okay.
I think McPherson has a problem because
do they handle that differently?
They do handle it differently. They do handle it differently. In that they just kind of leave kids alone. which you could argue is an okay thing to do. But there are times it is not okay.
Well, let's talk about this.
There are times it is absolutely not okay.
Yeah, we're stumbling into something that I think is just okay. So I did not have this on the agenda to talk about.
No,
right?
we did
and here
not.
Here we go. But you know, we always believe that it's best to let conversations happen organically, even though we do have like an itinerary that we want to cover some stuff, right? We might even bump some of this stuff off because it's early in the game, and there's probably going to be a whole lot more information that comes out over the next week. And I'm sure Andy would love to be here for some of these conversations.
Oh, I'm sure he
these
would.
National topics, but I was watching a press release, I believe. I should have documented this, but it was information that had come out of the city of Wichita. And I believe it came from Chief Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And people were asking, why are we seeing this outrageous uptick in juveniles that are killing other juveniles or
Violent
doing these
kids.
heinous things? Okay. And the response was, until we fix this legislation at a state level, because of what we're limited by that we can use as consequences for juveniles, we're not going to see anything change. Because, you know, you take an older person.
I completely disagree with that assessment.
Well, here's my thing, right? Let's go here, Chad. Okay, let's go here. In the past, if a juvenile committed a crime 20 years ago, okay, that was, let's say, a violent crime or one that would meet the threshold of potential incarceration, okay, then that child, even though they're a juvenile, was treated with harsher consequences, okay? Whether that meant, I don't know if they call it YCAT anymore, but if that meant going to Bob Johnson, I don't know if they call it Bob Johnson anymore, but these
it's called Bob Johnson. It's actually Reno County Juvenile Services.
So I don't want to take anything out of okay, but so you would go there. Okay. Now I believe during that period of time, and we could get into a long drag out, right? Of times were different then. We're not seeing the same type of environment that children are being raised in. So you can't necessarily compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, right? To say that in the past there was a lower crime rate and it was because we were harsher on juveniles when it came to crimes they committed. Okay. So I'm not making that argument, right? But to make the argument to say, have we erred on the side too much so the other direction, which is if a juvenile goes and commits a battery, an aggravated battery, armed robbery, a violent crime, let's call it just
seen them all,
just
by the
violent
way.
crime.
I've seen them all.
Right, whatever, right? You've seen them all. Then the mechanism that goes into effect is, by some's definition, including mine, I think I'm going this way with it, which is that there's not harsh enough consequences for these juveniles. Okay. And so then what's happening is like, especially in a place like Wichita, what we see, the belief is that these older individuals, 18 plus, probably in this age group of 18 to 25, right, that were not so long ago, these juveniles are fully aware that if they go commit this crime, that then they're going to do some big boy time. And there's no juvenile excuse for this, right? So then we have these younger youth that are more impressionable. We get into gang mentality. They want to be accepted by the older group of people. That's their family, okay? And even then one could argue whether because of brain development, whether even that age group of 18 to 25 are making rational, logical decisions based upon their ability to have the complete frontal lobe development. Okay, I know I'm monologuing here and I apologize, but I'm trying to explain myself as best as possible to say that, well, I'll get these younger cats to do this stuff and they won't suffer the same consequences.
There's something else they don't get. And when I say get, there's something else they don't receive that they desperately need. I mean, we can talk about harsher consequences all you want. Okay? Seriously. I'm straight up. I'm on the front lines of this thing. When you're talking juvenile crime, I'm on the front line. All right? Cops are first. I'm second. So there's something else that they're not receiving that they desperately need. So much. Kid after kid after kid. It's a mental health issue. It's a mental health issue. Yeah, they took a swing at somebody because they thought they were trying to steal their boyfriend. It's a mental health issue. They don't know how to handle the emotions of the moments. They just don't. And we're not teaching them.
Well, and that goes down to the breakdown in family.
So it runs deeper than that. Yes, there is a breakdown of the family. On the surface
level, I mean, how many of the mouths that come across your path have a supportive and attentive?
Oh, I see tons of broken homes. Tons and tons and tons.
Isn't that a huge factor?
Tons of broken homes.
Isn't that a huge factor in whether children
of course it is
are successful or not?
Of course it is.
But we got parents that are, I'm not going to do this no more.
But
I'm not getting what I want and need out of this relationship, so I'm just going to go find somebody else to give me what I think.
And then you're going to leave your kid to pick up the pieces emotionally, which they're not equipped to handle.
Oh my God.
I mean,
there's so much to talk about here. Yeah. You know what?
I mean, I can trace.
Folks,
I can go back to mental health over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I can go back to being proactive and preventative over and over and over and over. There is a child from Harvey County who is dead because another county was not proactive. Let that sink in. When we're dealing with our kids, we got to be proactive, not reactive. Arresting a kid, bringing him to the intake room, and then sending him to detention for the heinous crime that he just committed, that is reactive. Picking up the kid because he was driving drunk, getting him off the road, getting him sobered up, that's proactive. That prevents crimes. Not only today, but in the future.
And then once again, we can go full steam back to the very first thing we talked about the school bond. In so many cases, whether we like it or not, right? The school system is generally the front line outside of the family.
That's who we look to.
Yeah,
we look to.
And yet we don't want to fund them.
Yeah,
we shouldn't fund them.
Well, now you're conflating different.
I don't know if I am so much.
Now you're conflating different funding streams. That was one of the conversations I had to have over the Christmas break, because they don't want to vote for the bond because they want more money for teachers. Well, guess what? I want more money for teachers too. But you can't float a bond for that. Not only is it ethically stupid, borrowing money to make payroll, yeah, that's dumb, but it's also illegal. Our state legislature may have its head up its ass 90% of the time, but they did something that made sense. School districts cannot float bonds to pay salaries.
So if we have these kids, now granted, I'm not making the argument to pay teachers more. What I'm saying is that our school system, however we want to put that in a package, is the second line of defense to produce productive, well-rounded, emotionally and mentally stable youth. And then able to deal with these warning signs. You know, and raising kids is tough, dude. I mean, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody because I have children myself, and sometimes the best that I can give them is like, what are you doing? Right? And then again, that's compounded by external forces. So not only that, but going back to the Teacher of the Year, Brian Skinner, who talked about his whole educational workup that he did about how damaging social media is to the youth, and it just poison. Okay, so we got to move on from here, Chad.
Yeah, let's move on.
And I just want to let everybody know that with the new year of 2026, we continue to improve, and so you're going to see some changes once again on the program for the better, because I go back and I look at all the statistics over the last year and then the statistics the year before. And a lot of times, minus trying to get people into rage bait or whatever it is, that's not what we're doing. But what do people watch? What do people engage with? What do they like to do and be a part of? That's going to guide us. So with that being said, we've had people that really enjoy hearing our perspective about what's going on at national level. There's something to say they like Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the local paper, which you are a journalist and have been for 30 years. Also, member of the Mennonite Mafia mentality, okay?
Yeah.
And then, with me and my education and Andy and his education, how he comes out, the whole thing, right? They like to hear what people in middle America think about what's going on a national and sometimes international level. So going with this, we'll stay local first. And this is just a blip. Chiefs Kingdom has now moved to Kansas. What are your thoughts on that?
Bring it on. There's
a lot of people pissed about that, and there's a lot of people happy about
Yeah, I know. Most of the people that are really upset are from Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, elections have consequences, folks. You could have prevented it. So if you're mad that the Chiefs are moving across the state line, if you're mad that they're moving 30 minutes down the road, look at yourself in the mirror. If you're from Jackson County. Okay, and by the way, it's not just the stadium. Their practice facilities coming here too.
Yeah. Well, and there's this logistics situations.
By the way, story that's going to pop up on the Thursday Kansan, which came from the Kansas News Service, and you can Google this. It's out there. There's another Star Bond project that's happening right near the, let's call it, New Arrowhead. Right? And it is a Mattel. I can't remember what the other brand name is, but it's basically a Mattel theme park. They're going to feature Hot Wheels cars and Barbies, right? It's going to be right down the street. And if you've been paying attention, Clark Hunt talked a lot about mixed use development and economic drivers in and around the stadium. That's all a part of it.
Yeah.
It's all a part of it. And when you look at where they're going, they're not too far from the Kansas Speedway. They're not too far from Sporting KC.
That Legends area. Isn't it Legends that whole area would be considered
it's that whole area. I mean, so, and the Kansas City Chiefs is a great natural fit. And again, it's 30 minutes down the road from the current stadium.
Yeah.
So, I find it very, very difficult to find a ton of negatives. I mean, one could make the statement that Kansas should not be investing in something like this. And that there's been more than a few studies that suggest that we're not going to see a real return on the investment here. But dude,
but in a lot of ways you will, because I'm telling you,
I don't know if you are, but I'm tired of being flyover country. So let's get something.
Yeah, and when you get into it, it goes similar to these organizations that are nonprofits that don't pay property tax to build housing developments. Yes, right. You're not getting property tax. But
here's the difference.
But what's happening is people are coming here and they're paying for things, they're buying things, and so you're capturing sales tax revenue. And the same thing is going to happen there. I mean, it's going to bring a ton of people there.
And, there was a really great interview done with Mr. Hunt. And he referenced it multiple times. This is a 60-40 split. Not all the money is coming from the Star Bond. the Hunt family, is putting up a huge chunk of change for this. Just saying.
Well, and truth be told, if you want to watch the Chiefs play, you're going to go watch the Chiefs play. I saw some blips on social media of, oh, they think I'm going to go to a Kansas City Chiefs game now that they're moving out of Missouri. And it's like, yeah, you will. You
will.
You
will.
Yeah. If Arrowhead's great, but every good thing comes to an end at some point. Well,
and the bottom line is, if you're one of those fans who buys season tickets every year, you're gonna buy season tickets in 2031, 2032. You're gonna do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it.
And I wonder how many end-of-life issues Arrowhead was facing. We don't ever like to talk about that. We don't ever want to build anything new, right?
Because we as public, when we take a look at projects, we have a massive problem. And that problem is we look at it and we're like, oh, we built it, we're done. No, you're not. You're just getting started. Okay? When you buy a house, or if you're like me, you build a house. I mean, straight up, I'm in a Habitat house and I put a lot of labor into that thing. A lot. I was working nonstop, and then when I was done working, I was going over to the house to work some more. I helped build the darn thing. There's my own blood, sweat, and tears in it. When you do that, it's not over when you move in on day one. It's only just beginning.
Yeah, maintenance. I mean, no matter how you look at it.
You got it. There's maintenance. And if you got kids, holy crap, the maintenance. But anyway.
Yeah.
So we as a public, we look at things. Pine Street Building's another example. Okay? We're going to have a whole bunch of people that are looking at that going, we spent $7.5 million. We renovated. Okay, we're done. Actually, we're not done. At some point, those parking lots are going to need to be replaced. At some point, the roof is going to need to be patched or replaced. Okay? Newton High School, 50 years ago, they moved in. Oh, we're done. Well, where are we at now? We got to replace the roof.
You mean the new high school?
Yeah, the new high school. Yeah. But that's a problem we have. I hope that's not a problem that we decide to have with this new stadium that's being built. Again, it's 60-40 split. So the Hunt family is going to have a vested interest in this thing, big time, huge. But I hope we do not look at it when the last concrete is poured and say, "Oh, we're done," because we're not. We are absolutely not. And when it comes to sports stadiums, everybody wants to make sure they have the best, and they want to make sure they have the best fan experience, and that requires constant attention to fan experience.
All right, Chad, moving on to our next topic, okay? And I think the fraud in Minnesota and the Epstein Files being released, who's on the list, could probably, in my opinion, be parallel. And I'll throw one on you after the fact. But right now, what's making the news, and I don't know.
So what's the fraud allegation?
Okay, so what's happened is of course
Let's explain this to our folks.
Okay, so lightly speaking, without getting too much in depth, what's taken place is there has been now reportedly millions, maybe even billions of dollars that have been routed through the government, through tax abatements and even just full-on cash payouts to different organizations. The one that's really in the news right now are these daycare provider facilities, childcare facilities.
Yes.
And so what's happening is they're finding out that, well, you have these major boo-boos, if you want to call it that, which is that this money is going to this entity, but the entity is not really a functioning entity. It's just fake.
So the child care fraud thing, people are lobbing all of that based on a video they saw that the daycare center was basically empty.
Lots of them, Chad.
Guess what? Those videos were made outside of business hours.
Okay, Okay.
Okay, so
But there's also the stuff
walking
when it comes to the housing.
Well, yeah, I
and the
know, but I'm
food
just
and all
saying.
the
I'm
stuff.
saying. I'm just saying that when you, if we're going to talk the daycare thing specific,
So you're talking about propaganda on both ends.
yeah, yeah.
And I would not agree with
So
you on this, but I'll go with you on this.
Well, but I mean, seriously.
Yeah, because you can make anything look any way.
Exactly.
Right.
I could walk into any daycare in Newton at 7:00 in the evening and be like, "Look, there's nobody here."
It's fraud.
Of course, there's nobody there.
Okay.
The place is freaking closed. Walk in at noon. Let's see if there's people there.
But do you think that it's because I think it's uncovering something that I believe to be true. Right? I believe this to be true because I know that it happens. And it's something that until we've been able to come to the point in time in which we are, where information can spread so quickly and technology is such that an individual can go out here and report whatever. So my thing is this, okay? I'll go with you on this, right? Everybody that's hearing about what's going on in Minnesota, Tim Walz governor and others, Iman Omar, I think is her name, a Somali refugee that then has been elected to Congress. There's a lot going on here, right? But my question to the public is, do you really think that that's the only place that fraud is happening when it comes to government tax dollars? Do you think it's purely a Democratic situation that only Democrats do fraud, Chad?
Oh,
because that's how this is shaping up, right? And I think it would blow people's minds if they realized, yes, there is fraud. We have a big bloated system, and bureaucracy gets to a point where it's overwhelmed, and then you have this type of stuff happening, and people are able to exploit the system and be able to utilize tax dollars because of whatever the case may be. Republicans do it too. Am I wrong?
Ever written a federal grant? I'm just gonna leave a pin right there.
But billions of dollars?
Because they're being accused of inflating the number of people they claim to serve. And where I get frustrated is, okay, that's the allegation. Now the burden of proof is there. So prove it.
Yeah. But we don't wait for this in our country.
No, we don't.
No.
We don't.
If you're arrested for something, or
but just go prove it.
We live in an accusation society.
Just go prove it.
An individual can throw out an accusation. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be founded. It doesn't have to. It can be complete bullshit. Complete and most utter. And people will hop on that bandwagon and believe it to be true no matter what. And the more nefarious and the more extreme and the more secretive or whatever you can try to do to embellish whatever propaganda you're trying to push forward, it just becomes that much more insightful, and people latch onto it and they believe the shit. And there's no, and with the advent of social media now, there's no way when people make fake accounts it happens all the time. It happens all the time across all facets, forms, and people don't have critical thinking. This is something I want to talk about next week. I'm going to say it. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. To hell with it. Why are people so stupid? Okay, now let's move on. Epstein Files released. Who's on the list? Was he a counterintelligence operative? Or an intelligence operative from a different governmental entity? And what they're starting to find out is that it's quite possible that Epstein and Epstein Island was created in an effort to compile as much dirt as humanly possible on all of these corrupt elected officials and people in order
Just
to
people in general.
People in general. Now, I will say this: if you're kind of some kind of sick that will participate in that, then absolutely. But I go back to this: you can't tell me that the CIA and the FBI were not aware of what those people were doing. You can't tell me that Pam Bondi, Florida Attorney General, had no idea what was going on. Oh my God, it just is happening. And then when you really get down to it, then that comes to trust in government. And once again, I'm going to parallel this. Do you think, okay, and this is crazy. Okay, this is crazy to me. This is where I think people are just stupid, all right? Bill Clinton was at Epstein Island. See, Bill Clinton. All these damn nerdy, dirty, demonic Democrats were, this is just a Democrat safe haven for child molestation. And it's like, okay, wait. What about all the Republicans that were there?
Exactly. And then, you know what? I am tired of with this entire,
it's a shit show
through this entire thing. What I'm tired of is trying to explain it away, trying to justify it.
Well, Republicans will justify Republicans being there, and Democrats will justify Democrats being there. But then when it comes down to your Democrat front group of a news organization, right? Will say, "Oh, but look, the Republicans. Bill Clinton, he was just there having tea and crumpets. But Donald Trump was there molesting children." Well, Donald Trump was just there having tea and trumpets. In fact, he might have been a CIA plan of some kind.
Can we be
Bill Clinton, he was doing
Let's be brutally honest about something here.
Are we kidding ourselves?
Let's be brutally honest about something here. In that era, Donald Trump was a Democrat.
Chad, we're in that Republican R.
No.
But there were Republicans there.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I am tired of how we're trying to justify everything. All of it. Okay? If the name's on the list, they need to be investigated. If the name's on the list, need to figure out what the heck they were doing.
No, we need to omit what we don't want because we're the government in power right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to omit anything that we don't want for people to see. And that's going to put trust. I personally think, and who knows whether it will come out or not, but Dan Bongino, I honestly think that that's one of the main reasons why he is no longer, he's stepping down. He's stepping down. The question is, can a good person, and we're not talking about local government, we're not talking about state government, we're talking about our national Washington, D.C. swamp, okay? I just absolutely lost faith in my government completely, Chad. There's no accountability. It's all a shit show. And I think everybody sees it. I think everybody sees this Republican Democrat BS. I think everybody sees this, let's pit one against the other. I think everybody sees that when one's in power, they utilize the government and the bureaucracy to wrangle the other one, and vice versa. And media's incorporated in all of it, and it's all placating and preaching to your choir, and it comes down to people. See, I go back to people can't be this stupid. You just can't. I don't. Although. Anyway, we'll get into that next week. We'll get into that next week about IQ levels dropping dramatically, education dropping dramatically. What is the cause of it? And okay, so do you have anything else to say on the Epstein thing? I wanted to take a dig and say, that's still coming out here, but people have got to wake up and see that it's not just one or the other. It's both. It's our government,
and it's why, and I've said from the very beginning too, if the name's on the list, we need to know why. We need to investigate what the heck. I mean, it's just that simple. I don't care about Republican. I don't care about Democrat.
It was an elite party house. That's what it was. It was an elitist party house. That's what it was.
And straight up. Any Republican who's going to throw at me, look at all these Democrats, look at all these Democrats, look at all these Democrats. I'm going to say what I just said. Oh, by the way, in that era, Trump was a Democrat.
You're going to blow MAGA minds.
Any Democrat who goes, look at all these Republicans, look at all these Republicans, look at all these Republicans. I'm going to look at them and say, in that era, Trump was a Democrat. Enough. I don't care about the party. I don't care who they think they represent. If they're on the list, they need to be investigated, and we need to find out what the heck was going on. It's just that simple.
Well, and let's go back to this.
Really?
Yeah.
So don't try and dumb it down, and don't try and tune it up. It's just that simple. Because quite honestly, if they're on the list, they should be considered a suspect in a crime.
Well, if people are not getting pissed right now, I don't know whether you're just choosing to keep your head in the sand or what it is, but almost to the point where how can you wear this badge of Republicanism anymore? How can you wear this badge of the Democratic Party anymore? I both are to blame. The two-party system is corrupt. Our government is imploding, and the more research that you do, and this is a wonderful thing about internet, right? It's a two-edged sword, but the more that you research what's transpired over the last 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, and we're coming up on our 250th birthday.
Right. It also goes back to the fact that we throw a lot of labels around now.
Mm-hmm. And the definitions are lucrative and change consistently.
Yes, and we don't know what they mean anymore.
MAGA, Make America Great Again. What does that mean? Well, I mean, I'm going to be the politician here, and I'm going to tell you that, well, what do you think it means? And then when they say, well, I think we should do this, this, or this, that's what I think too. Like when I was thinking Make America Great Again, I was thinking, don't send, $8.3 billion to Israel, spend $8.3 billion on America.
Ooh, wait. How about universal health care?
Oh, no. We can't do that. We don't want to pay for a robust educational system that changes in order to meet the changing of the times.
We don't really want to take care of our people? We don't want to insure for the general welfare?
Well, but that's why we're going to Venezuela right now.
I'm just...
that makes total sense, right? Let's go to Venezuela because we don't like what's happening in Venezuela right now. And, they have, more oil than about anywhere on the planet. In fact, their oil is so thick, you have to put other chemical in it just to get it out of the ground.
The other labels, quite honestly, the other labels that people have no idea what they mean. Conservative, liberal.
I think the
people do not know what those mean.
Yes.
They absolutely do not.
Because a conservative...
And if you try and corner somebody on it, you'll find out.
They don't know.
Okay?
Yeah, they don't know.
The only way you find out is by understanding those words, where they came from, and what they really do mean.
Well, conservative, loose definition. A conservative is somebody that wants the government to be limited in their ability to tell you what you should and shouldn't be able to do. Now, what's liberal?
They stand for constitutionality.
But what's liberal? Liberal is a belief system that you should be able to do whatever that you should want to be able to do.
They stand for liberty.
It's all lucrative.
If you want to boil all of these things down, let's boil them down to Twitter feeds, right? And some of their original definitions. A conservative stood for the Constitution and against changing it. A liberal stood for liberty while observing constitutional law.
And they're both...
Okay?
Yeah.
Quite honestly, when you listen to those descriptions, neither one of them is bad.
No.
Okay? Either one are things that people can and should get behind. In actuality, probably both. But that's the true meanings of these words. So, you got people out there that have branded me a liberal. Okay, fine. I stand for personal liberty.
But what makes you...
I stand for personal liberty and observing the constitutional law. Gee, that's terrible. And I've got other friends who say I'm too conservative. Oh, I stand for the Constitution, and I really am not wanting to change it a whole lot.
It goes right back to...
I don't feel bad about that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's way deeper than that. I mean, it goes back to this, right? There's no end to individuals that want to utilize government in order to push whatever they want on somebody else. That's where we're at now.
That's right. And there is no end to creating a label or changing the meaning of labels or even changing names of things to invoke an emotional response.
How much do you think that it really comes down to messaging and propaganda in order to keep the ignorant person, and I'm not saying stupid at this point in time, but the ignorant person all wound up pointing at the other one as the enemy? Like, you cannot almost...
That is cable news.
Well, there you go.
That is it. That is MSNBC. That is Fox. That is OWN. That is CNBC. That is, at times, CNN. I do not have the ill will towards CNN that so many people have. It's the closest thing we have to actual news. The others, all they are is frickin' opinion wrapped up in news. Matter of fact, some of them are actually licensed as entertainment networks. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's what they do. I mean, I don't want people to feel like I'm pointing the finger one direction. I'm just going to give you an example. Is it the Affordable Care Act or is it Obamacare?
It's messaging.
And where did the Obamacare label come from?
Fox News.
Okay. Why did they start using that? Because it is the renaming of a piece of legislation to invoke an emotional response from the person who hears it. Okay? So all due respects, Todd T. Hart, I said it all those years ago, I'm still saying it. There was enough bad in the bill that it could stand, that you could tell the truth and it would stand alone. You didn't need to do all the other crap. Okay? You didn't need to walk around, Chuck Grassley. You didn't need to walk around and say, oh, there's death panels in here. No, there weren't. No, there wasn't. There were never death panels in the Affordable Care Act. Oh, by the way, just so I'm clear, there were never death panels in Obamacare.
I remember that.
I remember this all very well.
Mm-hmm.
Was the bill bad or was it good? Depending on who you talk to. It depends on who you talk to. There was enough bad to sink it within it by telling the truth. There was enough good in it to move it forward by telling the truth. But then what did we get? We got a national debate that was based on half-truth, blatant lies, and relabels designed to invoke emotional responses.
Isn't that the way it happens now all the time anyway?
That's just an example.
But that's what it is.
So when I said, I mean, I'm not wanting to point the finger
it's
one
everywhere.
Place. That's just an example.
Yeah.
I mean, what labels do we have out there now? Trumpism.
The MAGA movement.
Well, he formed that one his own. Okay? So that it's still going on. It's still going on.
And I think it's losing some speed.
And you know, I made, there's a statement just after an election. I was driving to Salina with Andy, and we were talking a little bit about the election that had just happened, and we were discussing, you know, and he was kind of disappointed in the election, and I looked at him and I said, listen, man, there's something a lot of people miss right now, and it's very frustrating that everybody's missing it. and it's this. If I had a dime for every Republican who voted for Donald Trump because they hated Hillary Clinton, that was really the reason they voted for him. For him.
Evil.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was that whole lesser of two evils debate.
That's how we vote.
Okay. And we got it again. We got it again with Kamala Harris.
Demonized.
It was lesser of two evils. Yep. We're gonna vote this way. I hate this person so much, there's no way I can vote for them.
Well, yeah.
My question is this to those persons who acknowledge that. Why can you not acknowledge that the other side of this coin is that there's people that hate Donald Trump so much they would vote for a dog first? So when Joe Biden walked out there, he may not have been the best candidate, but he wasn't Donald Trump. And we were coming to the close of 4 years of a Donald Trump presidency that really pissed people off. You've got to start understanding.
And that's why Trump got reelected, is because we came to the end of a Biden presidency that really pissed people off.
Exactly. Exactly.
I want people to wake up, Chad. We're coming into the program. I want for people to wake up. You know, part of what we're wanting to do here in the next year is to really focus in on just trying to do our best to educate, to have these discussions in a way that are respectful and not where we hold each other accountable. Anyway, so look forward to this next.
So how all of what I just said relates to the Epstein thing for me is that in the run-up to the release, which a lot of people didn't think would ever happen, and
it still really has.
I get it. Well, no, because it's so heavily redacted. I mean, it is ridiculously redacted. I'm sitting there going, we need to investigate people. Actually, we just need to read the unredacted file, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. We have the right to know.
There was so much, the reason he doesn't want it released is because he's on it. The reason Joe didn't want to release it is because of who's on it. Guys, everybody's freaking on it.
Yeah, and it would make us sick.
Okay?
It would make us sick.
And don't, all your postulations of, no, he's not going to be on it. He's going to be on it. No, Clinton's not really on it. That's fake. That's AI. Guys, they're on it. Stop the justifications. Stop the BS. I don't care about party. And quit trying to relabel it. Right now, what we got is a list of names.
It just points out how corrupt, once again. And here's the question. Okay, final word, Chad. What do you got? We're at the end of our time.
All right. Final word. School for Newton Schools starts again on Tuesday. Personally, I can't wait. My kids can't seem to, let go of Christmas vacation, but I cannot wait. And I hope I find my van key before then, but there you go.
Chad's final word. I guess, my final word would be, it's time to wake up. I mean, it's time to wake up. Let 2026 be your year where you wake up. Where you wake up. It is true that there's a lot going on. There is so much going on. And I'll end with this. Anytime there's all this stuff going on, like the Epstein Files and what's going on in Israel and all these things that seem to come to the surface, and we all talk about them, this fraud, etc., always look for what's actually taking place that nobody's talking about, because that's where the real threat comes to our democracy and our country 100% of the time. Have a good one, everybody.